Girl, life is a stage.
You better walk that stage
Life
like
is
it's a
stage.
runway.
Sometimes you just gotta vent.
Peace, y'all. It's AKILAH Nihanda and
Keisha.
this is my friend Keisha. We go way back. We are constantly having deep conversations. So we just gonna have a little conversation in front of y'all. How about that? A lot of people have different ideas of how they want to be for the upcoming year and for the rest of their lives. Right. One of the things that I've always said I wanted to do is be consistent with waking up early in the morning, like 5 o'clock or even 4:30. You know, I'm studying RuPaul right now, and he said he wakes up at 4 every morning. Minister Louis Farrakhan, he wakes up around 4 every morning. You know, a lot of really successful people wake up between 4 or 5. It's time to do it. You know, I've been saying I wanted to do it for so long, and I have been doing it on and off, but it's time to be consistent so that it could just be like an alarm clock in my head. I don't even have to set one. I could just boom, wake up because it's already in my head. So any goals for you?
For me, typically, I think my problem is I set too many. I noticed that I had so many goals, but the goals weren't really in line with one another. Mm-hmm. So, you know, be random things. Oh, I want to do this, I'm going to do that. Whereas I should have had focused on that one goal, broken it down into smaller goals in order to really focus my energy on accomplishing it versus having kind of like my ideas spread out all over the place.
I know for me, I did a lot of self-sabotaging without really knowing that I was self-sabotaging. When you feel that you're not worthy, then there's a lot of self-sabotaging that happens. I have no logical reason to feel unworthy. I was always doted on. I was always told I'm great, I'm the cream of the crop and all this, you know, being a black woman. Being a black woman in the Nation of Islam. So I have no logical reason to feel unworthy. However, we don't know what's in our, you know, DNA that was passed down through the traumatic 400 years of slavery. Right. So whenever I would start doing really, really good, somehow I would just stop and start going back into my old habits. It goes back to feeling you're not worthy enough to reach that goal on a consistent basis to the point where it takes you to that level of realizing and living in your full potential.
Right. It made me think of this movie I watched. It was on Netflix called Fast Colors. It's basically about this family of black women who ends up having these supernatural powers. And the lady who's like the grandmother, she ends up saying that she's not scared that she won't hurt the men who are coming to take her family. She's actually scared that she will. And I feel like that statement is so true for a lot of women. It's not necessarily that we're scared that we're going to accomplish our goals or be successful, but I think we truly have a fear with when we do, because we know we all are capable of them. And I can't speak for everyone, but I just know, speaking with AKILAH, I know what she's capable of.
We know we're capable of
We definitely know we're capable of it, but sometimes it's like the fear of, what happens then? Right.
Because we've never reached that level of living in our full potential. I mean, there's not a lot of people who have, and it could be because of that fear.
Right.
So when we get a taste of it, sometimes it is a little scary because it's like, ooh, I'm doing the thing. Okay, let me draw back a little bit. Let me draw back, you know, because you know people might think I'm, you know, better than them.
And that's the thing, like dimming our light to not, you know, scare or make someone else feel uncomfortable. That's a good word to use, to make someone feel uncomfortable. And that's so unfortunate because we really don't have anything promised, like while we're here, but death. And so with that being said, we need to live every day like it's our last, without holding back, despite how other people feel about it.
When you're afraid of, you know, your potential and you're afraid of being the best, you're really lack of better words, dissing God. You're really telling him that, nah, even though I know you put this in me, I'm not going to shine that because I don't want this or I don't want that. And really, all of us spiritual people, especially the religious people, a lot of us are the main ones who do that. Right. You know what I mean? Even though we say we glorify God, we want to be the best servants of God. The best way to do that is to literally be your best self and to show all of the qualities that he deposited in us.
And that's a huge highlight on seeing more positive people, because when you're doing that, you are going to see kids looking at you saying, well, dang, I guess I can do that too, versus them seeing someone who's doing something totally opposite that you would disagree with.
Right.
And so it's basically our responsibility. If we do want to see change, we have to walk it. Exactly. Be it, talk it. We really have to fully live it.
You know, I was watching Sesame Street. I was watching Elmo because I have a 2-year-old, y'all. And he was at the piano, and Big Bird and another character was there. And Elmo was so excited to show them his song on the piano.
Right.
He was like, look at my song. You know how he sound. He was like, you know, how does this sound? And then so he starts playing his song like, dun 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 dun, and he's on the piano like going in like, yeah. And they're like, oh, that's so good, Elmo, that's so good. You wrote that by yourself? And he was like, yeah. And I was thinking, wow, that's how we're supposed to be. When God deposited something in us, we're supposed to readily share it. And, you know, God willing, you have those people in your corner that's like, yeah, that's so good, that's so tight. And it inspires them to do whatever it is that God deposited in them.
Right. You know what? You know, like back in the day when you have like your talent shows and, you know, you like, oh, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do for talent show. Everybody's talking about it. And as a child, it seems like it's so different from adulthood, but it's really not, because every time we show our talent, whether it means, you know, a talent that we have in our career, in our faith, in our hobbies, skills, it's basically the same showcase. And it's not to say like someone has to win or lose, but it's just at least you have the courage to get out there and show up.
Life is a stage.
Girl, life is a stage.
You better walk that stage like it's a runway.
Yes.
You know, like I said, I'm studying.
Yeah, you working on it. I love that.
I am.
I love it. I love it.
You know, and it makes sense what you just said. It ties into something that he always says, is that, you know, life is your stage. And, you know, he has that saying, you're born naked and everything else after that is drag. So all of us start on the same playing field, and then everything that you add on to yourself is just to enhance what you already are. But we have to know what we are. We have to know the foundation of who we are, and we are beings that God created to show himself, but through us.
Right. And also understanding that just because we encounter wins or losses, that does not take away the God within us. Because I'm going to be honest, one time I was really just struggling with my worth, struggling with understanding, like, why am I at this point in my life where this is not happening the way I anticipated it? And I even told one of my aunts and uncles, I was like, I feel like a failure. And I had to realize that even when you don't make it like you anticipated in your life at that very moment, it does not reflect who you are. It reflects a certain circumstance that you encountered. But even to that extent, it's not over.
No.
Unless you die. But apart from that, it's not over. And so a lot of us, we become so taken by that temporary defeat that we live in it and we feel it every day. And, you know, it's kind of like how we showcase ourselves to the world, and other people feel it, because basically the way that other people make you feel is how they feel about themselves. So, you know, we can sense that energy. And so it took a while for me to really get over that and kind of just say, okay, Keisha, you are you first, and then everything else, like you said, is drag or it's added on.
It's added on. I know a lot of people feel like, okay, I know I can go that next level, but what's holding me back? You know, what's truly holding us back? I think that what's truly holding most people back is that feeling of unworthiness. Right. And a lot of people don't talk about it. And people might say, well, no, not having money is holding me back. Or I don't feel like I'm prettier than the next person. That's what's holding me back. No, that's not what's holding you back. Because there's a lot of people who are not aesthetically, you know, gorgeous and all this type of stuff, who are doing their thing and are bold and happy about it and living their life.
It's confidence.
It's confidence.
Confidence and courage. Because courage is knowing no matter what, you can have like some form of fear in your heart. You can have reservation, but still saying, you know, I'm going to kick past that and I'm going to do it.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, it's just me.
Right.
You know, I have to do it. If I don't, then I'm going to be living in regret. And like I said earlier, we all know one day our life is going to go to an end. So why live in regret on your deathbed when you can be focusing on, let me live this life as much as I can.
Death is all around us. And especially now with COVID and all of the things that's been happening with that, we seeing people dropping like flies, people who we love, people who we're close to, people who are just acquaintances, people on Facebook. But we just never think it's going to be us, right? We just never think that one day we're going to pass away. So we live as if we going to be here forever and we have time to be mediocre. We don't have the luxury of knowing when it's going to be our last day.
Right.
So we really do need to be extra. And that's what, you know, my goal for 2022 is to be extra.
I love it. I'm so here for it.
Why not? At
Why
the end
not?
of the day, why would I hold back all of the different ideas and all of the visions that I have? It's just like, let's just do it, because I don't know. You don't know, we don't know. So we all need to do the most. You know, a lot of people say, y'all doing the most, you doing the most. What else is there to do?
That's
the least?
a good point.
The mediocre? No, you should do the most. You should be the best.
And the best for yourself, like the best version of you. I think that's huge, because it's not comparison against the other person.
Right.
Every one of us have a unique story, unique gifts and talents. And so really, if you're not taking self-evaluation of who you were yesterday and you're not happy about that progress, that's something you have to check in with yourself about, because you're not competing with another person. You're really competing with yourself, because at the end of the day, growth happens only to you. You know, you're not going to see, I've grown more than this person. You don't really know that, because there's so many layers of unique attributes that make us who we are. Be your own competition and take it serious.
Right. And a lot of times people don't do things because they feel like, well, like you just said, I'm not as good as this person. Everybody has something that they are very good at. A lot of people haven't tapped into it. But when you do tap into what it is that you're very good at, a lot of times it could just be your personality. Right. A lot of times it could be just the way you walk. I mean, some people have an amazing walk and don't even see it as a great attribute, but that's something to look at. You could be a model. You know what I mean? So there's always something that you can do that you might see as a very small thing, but to someone else, it's huge. Okay, for somebody who is an agent for a modeling agency, that walk is gold.
That's so important, like knowing yourself. And there's this quote from Sun Tzu, I might be butchering it, but basically it says, if you know yourself and you know your opponent, you win every time. Or if you only know yourself and you don't know your opponent, then you'll win 50% of the time. But if you don't know either yourself or your opponent, you're gonna lose. Win. So it's like that quote.
No, told you I was about to be.
But know thyself, the quote. Know thyself. So knowing truly what your gifts are, and you can ask a select group of people, and then also take self-evaluation yourself to see, what am I really good in? Because it's always better to focus in that energy on your strengths versus trying to build weaknesses. If you know that you're really good at something, push forward in it. And usually you'll see, you're going to still encounter some type of challenges, but at least you're going to get ahead quicker versus trying to build on a strength that maybe isn't your talent.
For 2022, we're going to hone in on our strengths. We're going to hone in on talking more positive about ourselves and to ourselves, because, you know, a lot of times we'll say stuff like, girl, and I do this and I am gonna stop. But and some of my friends, you probably have definitely heard me, and everyone's done it.
Calling me out. I know I've done it.
Look,
My mom,
everyone's
she's
done
like
it.
pro positivity,
Right.
So she's like, don't say that, Keisha.
Right, but I'll be quick to be like, oh, child, I'm lazy. I'm not about to do. I'm lazy, so I need to.
So what are you gonna say to replace
So
it?
instead of saying I'm lazy, I gotta say something like,